To some people, a hatchback isn't quite posh enough, and only a saloon, or if they're American, a sedan, will do. And that's why Audi has made a saloon version of its popular A3. As you can see, it's a stylish looking motor, but the addition of the boot means the car is slightly longer than the A3 Sportback, and this gives it a sleeker profile. However, there is another benefit to the increased length. It gives you a slightly bigger boot. Now, the load volume of the A3 Saloon is halfway between that of the A3 Sportback and the larger A4 Saloon. And I know what you're saying, that yeah, this opening is not quite as practical as on the hatchback, but you know, that's only really going to bother you if you're going to start loading with wardrobes. But are you going to do that? If you want to do that, get a van. If you need to carry longer items such as your skis or maybe a snowboard, then you can fold down the rear seats, and you can use that function to withdraw cases from the side door, although I don't really know why you'd want to do that. There's also plenty of storage space inside too, with a raft of cubby spaces and huge door bins, all of which pass the Carbuyer big bottle test. But this car is as much about form as it is function, and the interior design doesn't disappoint. It's identical to the A3 hatchback, which means a high quality and minimalist look. You control most of the car's functions through this swivel wheel and this swish pop-up screen. I mean, look at that. That is totally Audi-tastic, isn't it? The system is actually very easy to use, and let's say you buy the car and you didn't actually order sat-nav with it. Well, the good news is that you can have it retrofitted just by inserting a memory card, and it costs around 500 quid. You get the A3 Saloon with a choice of 4-cylinder turbocharged engines. Now, I'll run you through some of the highlights now. So, there's a 1.6 litre diesel which emits under 100 grams per kilometre of carbon dioxide, so that means that it's free from road tax. It'll also return 74 miles per gallon. There's also a 2-litre diesel which is almost as economical, yet you can get it with 184 horsepower, so it absolutely flies. Thing is though, unless you're doing mega miles, I wouldn't bother with either of those diesels. I would go for the engine in this car. It's a 1.4 litre turbo petrol, and it's smooth, it's extremely quiet. In fact, you hardly know it's running, and it's reasonably nippy. Yet Audi say it will do 60 miles per gallon, which is incredible for a petrol. Now, the reason it's capable of doing that is because when you're just cruising along, it goes into cylinder deactivation mode, and what that means is that instead of running on all 4 cylinders, it's only running on 2 of them, so it uses less fuel. As with other Audis, the A3 Saloon is available with all-wheel drive for added traction. You can also get it with the firm's excellent 7-speed dual-clutch S-tronic gearbox with paddle shifters. It's not quite as smooth as a traditional auto when pulling away from a standstill, but once on the move, the shifts are lightning quick. This makes the car very relaxing to drive, something which is enhanced by the comfy seats and incredibly quiet cabin. All cars get a sporty setup as standard, and it's especially firm on these S-Line cars, which is what I'm driving right now. When you combine that with the large alloy wheels, you get a ride which is, well, quite frankly, it's a little bit too firm. Now, the good news is that Audi will actually let you select a softer suspension setting. You do have to ask your dealer for it specifically, but it's well worth doing that because it really does improve the ride. Make this car actually very, very comfortable to travel in, even on a bumpy road. And yeah, there is a little bit of a trade-off in terms of handling, but you're not really going to notice that unless you're hurling your car round a racetrack. And let's face it, you're not going to be doing that now, are you? Though really, if it's fun you're after, a rear-wheel drive BMW 3 Series Saloon is a better bet. And its starting price isn't that much more, which brings us on to another problem. The Audi A3 Saloon isn't offered in the cheaper SE trim like the hatchback versions, nor can you get it with the entry-level 1.2 litre petrol engine. There's another problem here in the back. Now, can you guess what it is? It's obviously not knee room, because that's more than adequate. It is of course headroom, because that sloping roofline of the saloon means that it's not so good in the back here as the A3 Sportback is if you're a taller adult. I mean, you could sit like this, but really that's going to be no good for your posture. It's the same story with the middle seat. In fact, it's even worse. I mean, this seat is really only for kids. Thing is though, limited rear headroom is a problem you'll have on the A3 Saloon's main rival, the Mercedes CLA. You can watch our review of that by clicking up here. Maybe if you need more space in the back, you should step up and spend a bit extra and go for a BMW 3 Series, which you can watch our review of by clicking down there. If you click down here, you can watch our very latest video review, and if you click on our logo, you can subscribe to the Carbuyer YouTube channel.